together from all different places, and allows us to connect in a space like this. So make sure you say hi in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, I am so glad that you are here. And I want to welcome you to this open house for the Simplified Focus membership community. Like I was saying just a minute ago, I have been really excited, anticipating this day and what's going to happen after this. And so I'm so glad that you're here and that you're at least just checking things out to see what is this community all about? And is this someplace that I would fit in? So tonight, I'm going to share with you the who, the why, the what, and the how. And I've got some gifts and a drawing going on as we are going tonight. So be listening in for those different things. But I want to start us off by I'm going to put two things in the chat. So give me just a second to get those in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add the founder member discount link for anybody who's going to want that while we're going. You'll have that in there. And I also put a question in here. I want you to think about your answer to this question. You could think about this like you down the road when you're at the end of your life, or you could even think about what your answer would be like right now looking back. But technically it's not a question. It's really a fill in the blank. It says, I spent way too much time on blank and not nearly enough time on blank. How would you fill that in? And if you're listening to the replay, I'm going to challenge you, push pause and really think about that answer, or stop and write that down, because how you answer that question should determine how you're living today, right? So anyone who's on live that wants to unmute and share what you would say, that might fill in those blanks for you. And this is a no judgment, no shame, no need to give a story or anything like that. We are all women living in this crazy world and we all get it. So I want you to know that this is a safe place. But if you feel free to share it audibly, you can unmute. If not, you can share it in the chat. If not, at least just get it up here, right? Somebody says it again. I spent way too much time on blank and not nearly enough time on blank. So I'll give you just a minute. Does anyone who's on live want to share how you would fill those blanks in? Distractions. I spent way too much time on distractions and not nearly enough time on priorities. Okay, I think right there we could end this call. Everybody could say yes, amen. That's me too. And let's join the group, because that's exactly what this is what this is about, right? But thank you for being willing to put that out there and share that, because it's some version of that, right? It's some version of spending way too much time on the distractions, because let's be honest, we live in a really busy, distracting world with all kinds of things that are demanding our attention all the time. And it's very easy to spend our time and energy on those things instead of on the things that really matter most, right? And then, right, we'll get to some point where we have that wake up call and say, oh my goodness, I spent way too much time on distractions and not enough on priorities. What a great way to start this. Thank you so much for starting us off with that. I'm letting some more people in as we come in. So welcome to those of you guys who are coming in as you're going. I put a question in the chat, but if you're just joining us, you might not be able to read it, but it was a fill in the blank, actually. I spent way too much time on blank and not really enough on blank, right? So I want you to think about, what that is. Yes, debating in my mind what to do and not enough time executing, right? That's a really interesting point too, because so often we can know what our priorities are. Sometimes it's, I don't even know what my priorities are and I'm not clarifying them, but sometimes it's, I know what my priorities are, but I'm not creating space in my life to be able to give them the time, energy, and focus that they need, right? Anybody else amen that one too? Yes, yes. Let's keep that in mind as we're talking today, because so often, because of these things, because we live in this really busy, distracting world, we feel overwhelmed, we feel exhausted, we feel frustrated. But what if we could flip that over? What if every day we could feel fulfilled and energized and inspired, and not just glimpses of it here and there? And everyone who's on here live and those of you watching the replay, I know that, there are probably different areas of your life that are rocking and rolling and that are really getting the attention they need. But there may be some areas that aren't, or you're ready to take it up to that next place. So what would it feel like if you were fulfilled, energized, and inspired every day, right? Because you were able to simplify where your focus went not on all the distractions, not on all the things out here, but on the things that are here that really matter most. And it's been interesting. I've been asking this question. So if you're on here, I'm going to ask you this question. You can drop this in the chat because I'm going to tell you about the drawing at the end. And the way to get your name in the drawing is to answer this question. Okay. So come back to me if you're multitasking. You want to answer this question in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, you can message me your answer to this. But the question I asked is, what's one big challenge or obstacle to keeping your focus consistently on those priorities, on the things that matter most? So I'd love to hear that from you, whether you're on live or whether you're watching the replay. Drop that in the chat or shoot me a message if you're not on live. I want to read you some of the answers I've gotten over the past couple of days, which are really insightful. And these are women from very different stages of life, and yet there's so much commonality. One gal said time management. Another one said, just trying to keep my brain focused on where it needs to be because I get really easily distracted. My husband and I were just talking about squirrel brain yesterday. That came to mind. Somebody else said prioritizing what's most important first and then focusing on that. Somebody else said her biggest challenge was social media and inboxes and notifications. Anybody else have all those things that are dinging and buzzing and vibrating all day, and it's distracting you from what else you would do? Somebody else said it's just sometimes not knowing. For her, she's stepping out into something brand new, doesn't exactly know what the next steps look like. And so sometimes that can hold us back from putting our focus where it really matters. Now, if you know me well, you might already know this, but for those of you who are new, I just got back from 3 weeks on the other side of the world. It was really interesting. When I ask women on this side, as well as on the other side of the ocean, how is life lately? Do you know what I hear some version of? The B word, busy. Oh, right. Like, I mean, it's some version of that, right? And it was so interesting to me as I thought about, it didn't matter what country I was in. I could have closed my eyes and thought that I was right back home, right? Because wherever we are, oftentimes we are experiencing the endless demands, the things that always seem to be coming at us, that are on our plate, that are filling, our time and distracting our focus away from the things that matter most. Sometimes they're obligations, right? Those things that we feel like we have to do. Sometimes they're expectations, maybe things that other people are putting on us. Sometimes they're just distractions. And as I talked with these women over there and I talked with women here, I just really felt God was put in my heart, you know what, like, this isn't how I've intended life to be, just busy, right? And just making it through one day after the next, and then, being to the end and feeling like, wow, I just spent a lot of time on this and not enough time on this. And I've really been, as I've been talking to women, asking myself, as I'm listening to what you're sharing, what is it that women really need? And there are 4 things that really rose to the top. And these are the pillars of the Simplified Focus community that I'm building. The first one is clarity, right? So one of you already mentioned that, identifying what matters most, what your priorities are, where your focus should go. The second one is intentionality. Now that comes to what somebody else said. Now I'm creating a plan for how I'm actually going to make that a priority and put that into action and give that my best focus. The third one is accountability. And with accountability, I'm going to let somebody else in here a second. That's where we allow other people in, because left to ourselves, I don't know about you guys, but it's very easy to let ourselves off the hook. Anybody? Cut corners, quietly quit, never even start, right? I have found for myself, when I've tried to do it myself, I've only lasted so long. But when I've invited others in and I've shared with them my intentions and my bigger why and my vision and things like that, it keeps me going. And then the last one is humility. It's that knowing that I have not arrived and I still have more to learn. And there are always areas that I can be working on. And so it's always having that openness to growth and to being part of that process. And if you want to hear more about those, I dove into those in episode 80 of the Simplified Focus podcast. I dove into the 4 principles of clarity, intentionality, accountability, and humility. But I want to share with you guys tonight, and those of you watching the replay, really my vision. And my vision is that this community would be thriving, would be engaging, would be expanding, right? And it would be this community where women are coming together and where they're accessing resources, coaching, and connection that helps them to break free from those endless demands and distractions, from all the things, right, that are always competing for our attention, and simplify her focus on what really matters most, so that ultimately we can live out our God-given purpose every day. We can invest in the things and the people and the passions that really matter most to us. And I'm doing this very purposefully, not on social media, but in a distraction-free, negative-free, judgment-free zone. I don't know about any of you, but sometimes you get on social media and it can suck you in, right? It's very distracting. There can be a lot of judgments made between people, or even sometimes of ourselves after seeing what other people are posting. And there can be a lot of negativity. And that's not what I'm looking to create. I'm looking to create something where we can really focus on growth and building each other up and encouraging each other, right? So how do you know if this is the place for you? How do you know if you're in the right place? Well, I thought about this. If you've ever said one of these things, like, I never have enough time. Oh, I never have enough energy left at the end of the day for fill in the blank, right? Or if you say things like, when I fill in the blank, then I'll fill in the blank. Like, kind of like, well, when life gets to this place, then I'll have the time, the energy, the resources to invest in the things that matter. But right now I'm just in this, maybe you feel like you're just always in the hamster wheel going on, right? Or if only I had more fill in the blank, then I would, right? Or here's one I hear all the time. I can't add one more thing. I can't add one more thing to my plate. If you've ever said that, right? If you ever said, my plate is full, or when someone asks you, how is life? And you're like, oh, life is busy, then this is the place for you, because we all have time. We all have energy. We all have resources. It's about where we're spending them. And I know God brought this to my mind today, but I heard this podcast today with this quote today that so fits with what it is that we're going to do inside of this community. So let me read this to you. It says this: we need to be less available to what doesn't matter so we can have more energy for what does. Wow. Let me read that again. We need to be less available to what doesn't matter so we can have more energy for what does. The context of the quote was in a parenting situation, right? Where we need to be less available to all the things outside and really focus on our role as mom. And yet that same principle applies to so many things in our life. We make ourselves available to all the demands and all the expectations and all the obligations and all the distractions that come in our life. And then do we have any energy or time or resources left for the people and things that matter most? Sometimes, but sometimes we don't, or we wish that we had more. So I want you to start asking yourself, what am I making myself available to? And part of this process is removing things, right? Like creating some healthy boundaries so that our attention and our availability is not going to things that don't really matter. Because what I truly believe is when you know who you are and you know what you want your life to be about, then your life will be filled with purpose. So I wore this shirt on purpose today. Let me just knocked my calendar. If you can see this, it says live life with purpose. And I also purposely wore my arrow necklace here too, because those things remind me that this is a choice, right? That we are living life with purpose. And I truly believe that God has made each and one of you for greatness and a purpose. And he has given you this life to be able to use to live that out. And so I don't know about you, but we don't want to waste that, because when we are living out our purpose, when we are doing what it is that we were called to do, that has a ripple effect, right? But when we are always zapped of energy and time and resources and feeling oftentimes resentful maybe of things that are taking that up, or we feel guilty that we're not giving the way that we should, that doesn't benefit anyone. So I just want to share with you guys real quickly my story, because I was that girl. I didn't have any plan. I didn't have any vision. I didn't have any goals. I didn't know what my purpose was outside of my four walls in the day that was in front of me. And so for me, it wasn't until I turned 40. I don't know if you guys have had a milestone birthday, or maybe some milestone moment in your life when all of a sudden you wake up one day, you look yourself in the mirror and you're like, whoa, right? I saw a little more bags under my eyes, a little more pooch around the belly. And I was like, how did I get here? Right? But the bigger question was, who am I and where am I going? And I realized that I was just literally putting one foot in front of the other with no real plan as to what that was looking like. And if I kept doing that, I was going to reach my default future. Have you heard of a default future before? That's when you don't change anything, just what will naturally occur over time, right? And I started asking questions. I started diving into growing myself and learning about, like, I could, along with God, design my future, right? I could actually start living with purpose, like my shirt says, living with intention, living with a plan to move towards those things that really matter most. But I want to tell you one thing about myself. Well, three things actually. And I actually shared this in episode 81 of the podcast. If you've listened to that, if not, you can go back and listen to it. That 3 reasons you may not want to listen to me. I know this is probably not in, marketing 101. When you're starting a new group, tell people why not to listen to you, but you'll understand, I think, in just a minute. So here are the 3 reasons why you might not want to listen to me. Number 1, I've not always had it figured out. I have definitely done it wrong in the past and had no clue what I was doing when it came to having any kind of a plan or vision or purpose for where I was going in life. Number 2, even when I started being intentional about it, there were times that I did it wrong. There were times when I got so hyper-focused on one thing that I literally was pushing other people and things that really mattered away. And I had to have a little, wake-up call to say, that's not the way it's supposed to be either. And the third thing is that I haven't figured it all out. So if you're looking for an expert who already has all the answers and there's nothing left to learn, I am not your girl, right? Like, I am still growing and I will always be on that journey. And if that's okay with you, then I invite you to be part of this community and to be on this journey together, and let's learn from each other. I put a lot of intention into my personal growth so that I can pour into others. And I truly believe that we have to fill up in order to pour out, right? So if I haven't scared you off yet, let me tell you about, now you've kind of heard like who is this group for? Why is this important? You've gotten to know a little bit about me, but like, what does this group include? If you decide that you want to join us, what does this include? First, we're going to have daily inspiration in there because I truly believe we get really distracted really easily and we need something to bring us back. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you when you join the group to engage in conversation, to put things out there yourself. Maybe you have a question or an idea or a thought you want to share, or maybe you want to cheer what somebody else said. But it's a place where we're going to be inspiring one another every single day. The second thing is there are going to be opportunities for what I call circle conversations. So I've created some circles inside the group for different stages of life, because yes, we all are impacted by some similar things, but yet some things are different for that, that young person who's just trying to figure out where I'm going in life than they are from the busy mom who's got kids pulling at her, at her legs all the time, than it is to the woman who has an empty nest or the woman who's in retirement. So I'm going to allow us, those people who are building their own businesses or who are pursuing careers. I've created some different circles so you can start having some conversations and connecting with women on a real level about things that are specific to your stage of life. Inside, you'll also find the Focus Made Simple course. So this is a course that I am only going to offer inside the group. I will never offer that course outside the group. That's my promise to you. And there are 12 modules in there. They're about 10 minutes long, and I only let you get one a week. So I'm a big proponent of keeping things simple and not being overwhelmed and feeling like you have all these things to do, because I want it to be short, sweet, but powerful. And I want you to think about it. Each month, we're going to have a start focused call, and I'm going to teach you my focus system. It's FOCUS, to help you focus where your time and attention is going to go in the month ahead of you. And you can use that process for the month ahead, the week ahead, the day ahead, the quarter ahead, the year ahead. So we will start off by taking time to really do some work and say, what does my month look like? And what am I going to put my attention on? There'll also be a monthly accountability challenge, where we're going to have some area of our life. We'll be talking about the 7 different areas. We'll have some area each month that we're focusing on. For November, I've chosen the theme of simplifying the holidays. I just did a podcast on that last week. If you listened to it, and gave some great tips that you can start going through to think through the next 12 weeks and what they're going to hold. But we're going to hold each other accountable to simplifying around what really matters and not doing things because it's what Pinterest or Instagram or even our mom or our grandma says that we should do, right? It's the things that really, really matter and where we want to put our energy. Okay. We're going to have a book club that you can join. That's free for all members of the group. And the first book we're going to do is called The One Thing by Gary Keller. This is a really powerful book where you are focusing in on what's the one thing that matters most right now in this season of my life. And so we're going to go through this book, and there'll be a lot of principles that we keep coming back to. So you might want to go ahead and grab your copy of this, because we'll be starting this in November and working through that together. What else is there? Power hours. I don't know about you guys, remember study club in high school when everybody was in the same room and you were expected to study? And so, well, then you found something to do and you actually got stuff done, right? So I like to invite people to power hours, Because sometimes we're like, I know I got these things to do, but yeah, I get distracted by this. And then I'm doing the laundry and then I'm answering the phone and then I'm over here. And right. You ever walk into a room and then forget why you're there and then you start doing something else. So we're going to do some power hours where you bring whatever you want to work on. And it's just gonna be like study hall. It's going to be quiet in the background after we say what we're here to work on. And then we'll check in, see how we're doing. And then we'll check out at the end and share our wins and what we got accomplished. So guarantee it's going to help you keep moving those things forward. And then there'll also be opportunities for coaching. So if you are a type of person who you're like, you know what, I want somebody who's really helping me with all the stuff in my life. I'll have a couple different options. There's a 1-month program, there's a 3-month program, and there's a 6-month program based on the level of, growth that you want to experience. So that will be kind of an offshoot of the community. And when you're inside the community, you get early access to all the events going on. You get early access to new resources that come out. You get early access to new courses. I'll be creating courses for each of the parts of the system. So there's a lot of perks to being in there. Okay. And I know you'll get a lot of value from these tools, and I like to keep them simple and things that you can apply that day. Okay. I'm not big on something that's just going to sit in an inbox or sit on your desk or on your shelf and not add any value to your life. If it's going to come into your life, it needs to add value. And that's really important to me. Because I believe in this so much, and as I see the growth already that's going to happen in those people who are joining me inside this community, I know it's going to have a ripple effect. And I know you're going to start noticing people in your life, family, friends, coworkers, neighbors, acquaintances, people you know online, people you know in person, who you see struggling with distraction, who you see, you hear them saying, oh yeah, life is busy. You hear them saying, oh, I wish I had more time for, or if I only had energy, I would, right? So I've also created an ambassador rewards program where I will literally put money back into your bank account as a thank you for sharing this group. Okay. So that's just one of those other perks that, if we can spread this message to other women, I truly believe it will make a difference and will have that ripple effect, in the world. Okay. So how can you join us? Okay. So great question. How can you join us? I had somebody ask this who couldn't be on live tonight. So I want to make sure that I talk about this. The link is in the chat. And I will go ahead and add it here one more time as well to make sure that everyone has it who came in after the fact. Oops. If you're watching the replay, I'll make sure that you have this as well. I am putting the founder special price in here. If I put the N in there, because through the 31st of October, I am offering a special discount. And here's the cool thing. If you lock in the member price, you lock that in forever. No matter how much anybody pays, anytime down the road, yours never changes. Okay. So for those of you who are on here live, you're here before that date of October 31st. So you can go ahead and use that, and it'll show you a little bit more information if you go on there as well. But really, it's about $1 a day, right? I want you to think about, where do you spend $1 every day? A lot of times it's on things that go right down the toilet, to be honest, right? What if you were to reinvest that $1 a day in you, in your growth, and allow that to have a ripple effect into every area of your life, into your faith and growing that, into your family and friendships, into your maybe your field of work or a business that you have, into your finances and being really intentional with those, into your health and wellness and fitness, into your fun, right? Like, you are worth $1 a day. You are worth 1,000 times that, right? But this is also a way that you are saying, I know that I'm worth it and I'm willing to invest this in me. So here will be your next steps. If you're interested in joining us, make sure that you grab that link. You go grab your spots. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is go to the welcome posts. There are 2 of them. It'll kind of show you around a little bit inside the community, where you can find things, what to expect, and then introduce yourself, because we want to get to meet you. And then the third one is to start this Focus Made Simple course, because that you can unlock module number 1, which is all about who am I? And you can start going through that material and start learning and growing and building that foundation, because we can't change anything that we do until we change who we are first, right? It's the being before the doing, right? And when you get inside the group, I told you I had gifts for you. So when you get inside the group, there are 2 gifts waiting for you. The first is my Simplified Focus Roadmap. And that is 4 steps that will walk you through 4 steps to help you clarify your one thing, right? So we're gonna be reading about that in the book, but sometimes it's helpful to have a system that you can just go through and kind of figure out what would that look like right now for me? And so that's one of my gifts for you that's inside the group. The other one is I've created this really fun screensaver. If I can find my phone. I've got notifications on here. So let me clear these a minute so you can actually see this. Okay. So if you can see this, it's a simplified focus reminder, right? And the two notifications that are up there say, do less and live more, because that's what this group is all about. We're doing less of the things that don't matter so we can live more of the things that do, right? And we are simplifying our focus on really what matters. Notice it's not a distracted picture. It's very simple, right? She's using her hands to focus on what she wants to see. So that's another gift just to help keep that top of mind. And don't forget, if you want to get your name in the giveaway, I didn't even tell you what I was giving away at the beginning. I completely forgot. So forgive me for that. I am giving away 3 months free, 3 months free inside the membership community. Somebody's name is going to be drawn. You have until this Friday, which this Friday is the 28th of October, to answer the question, and what is one obstacle or challenge that gets in your way when it comes to trying to keep your focus where you want it to stay? Okay, I just want to know, what's your one challenge? If you're on live, feel free to drop it in the chat, and that way you know you're already in the drawing. If you're watching the replay, you can feel free to send me a message, an email, however it is that we usually communicate, and say, hey, Lissa, this is the one challenge. This is the one obstacle that I find coming up more often for me. And you may feel like you've got a laundry list of them. That's okay. All I want to hear is one, unless you want to share a whole bunch of them. Because together, what we're going to do is we're going to break free from that. And we're going to have the tools and the resources that you need to really be able to simplify your focus and not feel like you're spending way too much time on all the distractions, but that you are investing in those things that are priorities. Sound good? So I'm excited for those of you who are going to join us, and I cannot wait to hear the conversations that'll start happening inside the group. But before we go tonight, I wanted to keep this to just under 30 minutes, and I'm right there. Does anyone who's on live have either any questions that you want to ask about the group, about the purpose of the group, about the logistics of the group, or any ahas, something you've heard tonight that just made you kind of think? And if not, that's okay too. I hope that I planted some seeds today that have gotten you thinking about you, what you're putting your priorities on, and how you're making space for that in your day. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I will make sure that I send this out to those of you who are live, as well as to those of you who asked for the replay. And I'm going to be just bold and say, come join us, come check it out. You're going to get 3 days free when you join anyway, just because that's my gift to you, to make sure that you're in the right place, right? And that you see the value that's in there. And don't forget, if you answer that question before Friday, you could get your name in the drawing to get 3 months free as my gift to you for helping to give me some input and some things that I can think about as we're creating resources. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I'm going to let you guys go, and I will look forward to seeing you on the inside of the group. I'm going to save the chat so that way I don't miss it. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.